Hi everyone, this is Patrick from P-Spec Engineering. I'm with...
This is Jayla.
And today we're going to be working on a AE86, as it's known in Japan, or as it's known here, a Toyota Corolla. These cars are very popular for drifting since drifting came to the US. Now this AE86 is turbocharged. It's a custom turbo kit from HKS modified to fit the US market because the steering rack is on the opposite side in Japan, so they don't have to worry about it. On the US, it's on the left side, so the turbo basically interferes with the steering arm. A gentleman did the work initially, did a decent job, but there was a few shortcomings which caused the leak. One of which was basically just laying out the whole setup. This was the charge pipe that he made. As you can tell, it's not really show quality. So what I did was I remade it by removing the blow-off valve and making a new charge pipe. Charge pipe is made from 6061 aluminum. It's lipped on both ends to ensure fit. The blow-off valve was reinstalled. The air temp sensor was reinstalled. And this is more a show quality piece. For the turbo manifold, what we did was we removed the old flange, put a new flange on, redecked the surface to make sure it made it flat, perfectly smooth, reinstalled the studs, everything is nice and clean, and to make sure that the surface mates correctly, we also took the exhaust part of the turbo and decked that also. So everything fits perfect and flush. No.
To dress up the engine bay, we polished the intake plenum, the charge pipe, the valve covers, the compressor housing, and the intake pipe.
So now that everything is all set and ready to go, we're going to take a look at the engine bay. There's a few more things that have to be done before we actually install. So we're going to show you that, and then we're going to go ahead and start the installation. Ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's go. Okay, as you can tell, this is the engine bay of the AE86. If you look around, you can see the soot from the exhaust leak throughout the engine bay. We're going to take care of that once we've installed everything. Now, to remove the intake manifold, we had to cut the harness. So after reinstalling it, instead of rejoining the harness, we decided to make connectors so that the next time you have to take out the intake manifold, it's not a problem. You just unplug and you're good to go.
I'm going to install the intake manifold, and Patrick's going to install the turbo setup. Ready? Let's go. Before installing the intake plenum, we have to make sure that the gaskets are in place. Right now, the intake gaskets are already on the head. So to ensure the seal, I'm just going to put a little high temp gasket maker on the surface. I'm putting on a very thin layer of the gasket maker. Right now I have the manifold in place, so I'm just going to put it onto the head. I tightened the bottom bolts, now I'm going to tighten the top ones. I just installed the fuel rail and the fuel injector, so now I'm securing it down. Patrick completed the install of the wastegate, and the downpipe is in position. I finished tightening the bolts on the compressor housing, so now I'm going to install the turbo. But the first thing I have to do is secure the oil drain line. Now I'm going to put the turbo onto the manifold, and at the same time I'm going to connect it to the feed pipe. Right now I'm securing the last ball on the manifold. And now I'm going to tighten the feed pipe. Now I'm going to install the this nipple for the wastegate. I put Teflon tape around the thread to ensure sealing.
Okay, Jayla finished the install on the turbo. She did a good job. Now the downpipe is a little tricky, so I'm going to take care of that. Now, even though the surface of the downpipe is made it smooth, I'm still going to use a little bit of gasket maker, high temp, to help it seal. So I'm going to do that now. Okay. So I've got a nice, generous portion on here, and now I'm going to put it in place. Hold it in position and catch my first screw on top. Now I am securing the last bolts into the downpipe, and that'll take care of it from the top. The next thing that goes to complete it is installing the O2 sensor. What I like to do is I like to twist it in the opposite direction so that when I put it in, it actually unravels while it's screwing itself in. Sometimes it works. Okay. The last thing that we do for the turbo is we install the feed line. Okay, so our O2 sensor is in, our downpipe is on, our turbo is in, the oil feed line for the turbo is in, the oil drain line is in, the feed pipe into the intercooler is in. The last thing we'll do with this is the intake with the filter, but that we'll do later. So basically now our turbo setup is complete. As you can tell, we already installed the valve covers, which are polished. So we're almost complete with the install of the turbo and the dressing up of the engine on the AE86.